So disclaimers, right? Some of you may agree to disclaimers in the application. I don't ever do that as a matter of course. I always wait to see what I have to disclaim, but unregisterable components and marks are not allowed, right? Any generic descriptive matter must be disclaimed. So what if you don't agree? Well, I think the first thing I would do is I would search other marks to see what they've done. That's not necessarily the best indication because a lot of pro se applicants will just agree because they don't know any better. Because it's the easiest and cheapest thing to do, and they certainly don't know how to structure an argument against a disclaimer. But if you really feel like the disclaimer request is wrong, then the argument would be that the term is not descriptive for your goods and services in that particular class. And sometimes examiners do get overzealous and ask for a disclaimer for all classes when you might have a 2 or 3 class application and the term really is just descriptive for 1 or 2 classes. You may need to submit arguments against descriptiveness. We're going to talk about that in the next section. And if you're not successful, you'd have to agree to the disclaimer. Depending on the issue, I always think it's worth it, not for things like company or technology for software or, ridiculous generic descriptive terms like that. But in certain circumstances, I think it's worth it if the client is on board to at least try. But I will tell you, I've lost every time on these issues, except like in 1 or 2 very, very specific cases. However, what's more probable as a result here is if the mark has been in use, the term in the mark, for 5 or more years, you may be able to claim 2F in part with respect to the disclaimed matter. So you may be able to claim acquired distinctiveness in part for that term where the office is requesting a disclaimer. That's a little bit easier to do. So those are your options when you have a disclaimer that you really feel strongly shouldn't be required. Now, you can avoid this or anticipate this, and I'm going to be harping on this throughout this presentation, if you do a search ahead of time, either a USPTO search or even, I like better, a full search. Almost all of these refusals, especially when we get to the substantive section, you can know ahead of time and prepare your client if you search. So I think a lot of these issues can be avoided if you properly clear the mark.